Welcome back to Galaxy Tenants. On episode 14, we feature a couple of tracks from Circles Around the Sun, but first we head to Denver for a conversation with sports marketer Abby Radbill.
I'm here with one of my really good friends, Abby Radbill. Where are you right now, Abby?
I'm in my backyard in Denver, Colorado, in the Highlands-ish area.
Do you want to tell everybody what you do or what kind of work you do?
When I'm not sitting outside on a Friday morning with sunglasses on and a morning, thing that I don't normally do when I go to my job, I work for Ticketmaster Live Nation and in our Denver office. Our office is downtown right by the baseball stadium. But I work in sports marketing. So I have about 50 pro sports teams, racetracks even, that are my clients, and my job's to help them sell more tickets to their events. But there's kind of a lack of events happening right now. So that's why I'm sitting here in my backyard on a Friday morning talking to you.
It's got to be a nice change of pace.
It's the best. I'm so happy. I was furloughed a week and a half ago, which I know that I've heard the word furlough, and I don't even ever think I really knew what it meant until it actually happened to me. I wasn't laid off. I wasn't fired. I was furloughed, which just means temporary unpaid leave. And so I was told furlough for 6 months, which would take me to October. Could be more likely could be less, could more likely be more time than that. But that's kind of the deal right now, where I have to go back to my job in October if everything stays as planned right now.
That seems like a really safe plan, and maybe even best case scenario for what some people are dealing with right now, given the current situation.
Yeah, it was interesting when I got the news at work. Every one of my coworkers devastated, really upset, kind of needed to be talked through it. It was really intense, but I had a very different reaction. I was just fuck yeah. I'm in a really good financial situation. I have a rental property on the other side of town. When do you ever get just 6 months off of work while still be kind of good financially? It sounds more like retirement vibe to me. So I've been taking advantage of just having this time off, but being in a good place to do so. Like I said, a lot of my coworkers, it was kind of a really opposite reaction, which was a little bit weird for me to process too. Just wow, I've been working with these people for so long, and now we're having completely different experiences in life and work world all of a sudden.
It's weird. I think, for a lot of people, this is hitting them really hard, and they don't have any sort of financial assistance or, a bank account to stand on. And so I think a lot of people are struggling through this, while a lot of folks are having the exact opposite experience, and they're using this as a time to reflect and breathe and, have a little time for themselves. And I'm glad to hear that that's your experience.
Yeah, I would be happy to tell you all the things that I've been doing since quarantine began. But the most important thing lately, I've been playing some golf, and I'm really into it. And I was never golfed until, 4 or 5 years ago. And I feel like I'm kind of a natural. I've never had a lesson. It's going really well. It's really fun, which is such a retirement thing to do, is play golf. So hence, I'm really just practicing for the future right now.
Happy pre-retirement.
Thank you.
I'm going to send flowers or something, or a gift basket for sure.
I would really appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Last we spoke, you had mentioned you were working on becoming a DJ. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yes. So I've always, I wouldn't say I always wanted to be a DJ. This is a more recent thing, but I'm definitely the friend of the friend group. And maybe you guys, know this about me too, but I'm sort of always put in charge of playing the music in a hang situation, which I take very seriously. And so anyway, been thinking it'd be fun to learn to DJ because everyone likes the music, and why not make it like more interactive for me and more like, I don't know, kind of live on the spot. I already have a DJ name too, so that's helpful. So I've been downloaded this free app, and at the moment I can't remember what it's called, but I'll tell you. But it's a free app, and it's basically two turntables on the screen. It's two turntables next to each other. You can tie it in with like Spotify or Tidal, and so I tie it to Spotify. So you load two songs up onto each like record, and then there's knobs and buttons everywhere, and you can, I mean, essentially DJing with two turntables that are playing off of Spotify. It's pretty awesome. I haven't practiced as much as I would like to because I've got other things happening too, but
golf.
Like golf.
Yeah.
Golf DJing. Can you believe this is my life right now?
Carly came up with the DJ name, and I know you said you already had one, but I would like to at least throw this into the ring for thought.
Sure.
DJ Abrad.
Oh.
I don't know. Just
that's pretty good.
Yeah, just for consideration.
That's one of those names where it sounds like their actual name versus my DJ name that I think I'm actually going to keep, if you guys are okay with that.
Please.
Has nothing to do really with my name at all.
I'd love it if you would share it with us.
It's Stir Crazy, but spelled S-T-E-R.
Oh,
Stir
wow.
Crazy.
That sounds like a Google nightmare.
I don't care about Google. I'm just like going to take over. If friends are going to know, we won't need the Google machine.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm here to help however I can, obviously. And I'm ready to purchase your newest mixtape whenever it comes out.
Oh, yeah. Coming soon. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Before you were furloughed, what was the climate at work like? What were you guys dealing with? What were you, and you don't have to maybe give specifics, but what was it? A lot of just canceling of events? Was it planning for how events can return? Where did you leave it with your job?
Man, it's so interesting to like think about that now versus when it was happening. When it was happening, I mean, it so much like focus was put on if there's canceled, postponed, rescheduled events, how are people going to get their money back? It was like such a big topic at work. From my perspective, since like I said, my clients and something I help my clients with is selling tickets to events, that was just like immediately stopped. Like the marketing campaigns that I was running for all of my clients literally just stopped. We paused them all. And like I work with the Nuggets and the Avs and the Rapids and the Mammoth here in Denver. And it was like I have a separate contact at each one of those teams, but all in the same day within 10 or 15 minutes, please pause all our campaigns, please pause all our campaigns. And that was just like 4 clients out of a bunch. So for me, it was a lot of responding to emails confirming we've paused marketing your events because those were sort of, either, I guess, really mostly put on hold considering like the NBA, NHL seasons. Also, you asked about the climate. So much focus also was on the NFL. And I'm sort of like, going to go into my sports commentary here, but so much focus was put on the NFL, A, because they're sort of the biggest money-making sports league, and B, they're not in season right now, but it's coming up. And what is the NFL going to do? Are they going to cancel their season? Are they going to postpone their games? So much of what the other leagues were considering doing was watching what the NFL planned to do. And I basically got furloughed right before the NFL kind of decided what they were going to do in this coronavirus world, which was announce the season and go on as planned. So when I left, all the talk was NFL and refunds, basically.
And I don't know if you were involved in the conversations of what it would look like moving forward, but is it just empty stadiums? And is it like testing all the players prior to them taking the field? Because I don't even see a foolproof system especially with a contact sport like that. Maybe with baseball, I can make a little bit more sense of it or something, but was there any talk of possible procedures?
I have so many thoughts on this. There was not. And probably because we're all experiencing this too. This whole like coronavirus land we're in right now, everything is taken one day at a time. Like you literally can't make decisions about 2 months from now because look at how much has changed just in like the past 2 months. The plan was like, let's just take it day by day. There are plans and conversations and ideas getting thrown around that I think I've been made aware of through work, but also I think this is things any sports fan could like research on their own and find this stuff out. But the ideas are all out on the table. Fanless events is probably the most like realistic scenario if events do happen. I think that's probably the move.
If they do fanless events, do they still hold them at those massive stadiums, or do they go to like a smaller facility because the overhead of just maintaining the massive facilities doesn't seem equitable if you're not going to have fans and concessions and all that?
Yeah, great question that I don't know the answer to. As far as I know, it's going as planned in the venues that it's supposed to be. But those could be like, you know, it's very possible those are conversations happening in a very, very small room or on a Zoom or Skype somewhere.
Yeah, sure. I saw the NHL was talking about like a tournament of some sorts, which when I hear tournament, like that's awesome. That's like, I love the World Cup. I love all that stuff, especially when it comes to hockey. And a tournament could be really cool, but then also how do you look at this season? Is it just there's an asterisk next to it that basically stipulates that it was not a regular season, or, you know, it's weird.
I've been watching that Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, and I watched 7 and 8 last night, and I forgot about the 1994 baseball season that went on strike. Yeah,
there's a couple sports that have, in hockey actually, I believe, had a season like that.
Yeah, so, well, recently. And I brought up the Last Dance just because that happened to Jordan while he was playing for like the White Sox or their minor league team, whatever. The season didn't end because there was a baseball strike. And so my point is like this season could just end as it is. And there's an asterisk that's like COVID-19. And then you just move on with like next season and the next season and the next season when those come. You know what I mean?
Sure. It's interesting. I'm realizing like I'm not a huge sports guy. I love hockey. I can watch, you know, I love football. I love the contact sports, but I'm really missing watching competition.
Yeah.
It's weird. And I'm not going to watch like Survivor or some of that, you know, I can't do the TV stuff like that. But I miss just watching two teams battle it out.
Have you been watching like cornhole on ESPN?
No, I have not. And in fact, I didn't even know they were airing that, and good on them.
You could get your fix. But you're a huge Red Wings fan. Like, what have you been watching, like past Stanley Cups?
So I've watched, as far as watching like old footage and stuff, I'm like, almost to that point. I had that thought
you were holding
yesterday. Yeah, you know, I'm just hoping that at some point I can get some fresh, you know, competition to watch. But, you know, I am at the point, yeah. But also, I know that knowing me, I'm not going to watch one of the Red Wings like losing seasons. So I'm going to put on one of their legendary seasons, and I'm going to know the outcome of every game. And I don't know how fun that's going to be.
If it gets to the level where you have to start watching their losing Stanley Cup season, shit has gone really wrong.
It's true, and there's a lot of winning seasons to go through, so it would be unfortunate if it drug out where I'd have to watch some of that old stuff. It is cool though. I've seen ESPN is airing some like old classic games and whatnot, and I think that's the only move. Like, what else? You know, I think it's great.
I think it's great because, and I don't have kids, but I have a niece. And I told my brother the other day, I'm like, you got to show her the fucking Super Bowl from whatever, 2017 or 18. Like, she needs to know that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and we threw like the Philly special and play. Like, she needs to know that shit. So I was going to say, for your nephew or Carly's nephew, maybe you should like sit him down and be like,
yeah, I mean, there's so many things that if I had a kid, I would be like, hey, here's the deal, bud. Like, school's in session. Have a seat, you know. And now is a great time to do that, I think, too. But yeah, it's weird to watch how things change, how where we're at with everything. One of the things I wanted to mention in regards to that same topic is, I don't know if you noticed, Beanstalk, I think, was the festival that is now doing a drive-in format. And I think they usually hold their festivals up at Rancho Del Rio in Bond, Colorado, which is one of my absolute 100% top of the list favorite venues in the country. The Colorado River runs right. Yeah, it's a special place.
Yeah.
It's so now they're moving this event to a weekend event at a drive-in theater in Fort Collins, Colorado. It looks like it's sold out and it's getting a lot of attention. Is this the future of concerts? Is this the future of events for now?
It could be a short-term future. Like, I know Live Nation has been like kind of going in that direction too of Live Nations, and even in like Europe there have been like raves happening, and this is actually starting to happen. So Ryan, who puts on Beanstalk, Ryan Noel, he's a friend for sure. He's really come a long way, like in this industry too. I'm just like really proud of him, but mostly proud of him because like from a corporate world perspective, I knew that drive-in theaters was like a direction that events were going, and he just like boom out of the gate was like Beanstalk's moving to a drive-in. So it's like it's really impressive that he kind of, I don't know, maybe not so much like had the foresight, but is actually planning to make it happen.
Yeah, the execution.
And it's proven that it can happen. So I'm stoked for him.
I think when someone's put in a situation where the financial burden falls on them and there's an event being canceled and money's already been spent on promotion, deposits, whatever, I think you quickly find yourself in a situation where you need to come up with a solution. And good for him for coming up with that one. It seems like a good one. It seems like people are excited and it's getting national attention. So that's great.
One thing which would be really interesting if this happened, it was brought up on a Live Nation company call we had last week that was that this week? I don't fucking know what day it is anymore. That could have been this week. I really don't know. Sometime in the past month, we had a Live Nation company call. And in addition to drive-in concerts and also fanless concerts, specifically at like iconic venues, the third idea that was thrown out there was, what if concerts start happening on like waterfront and then fans watch from both? Which sounds amazing.
That sounds awesome. I don't see a downside there.
No, I mean, if once you start really thinking about how that would possibly work, you kind of can go down a rabbit hole of like, oh man, there's a lot of logistics. But the idea and the concept sounds awesome. I bet maybe in Michigan there's probably like waterfront venues that you could roll a boat up to.
Absolutely. There's one in Detroit actually called Shane Park that's right on the river. Actually, it might be Aretha Franklin Amphitheater now. And people pull up on their boats right behind it on the Detroit River. And you're right behind the stage and you can see the whole amphitheater in front of you.
This is already happening, or it can happen in Detroit, Michigan, of all places.
Yeah, so it does definitely happen. And I think that there's a lot of like water site kind of concert things like that. But it's a matter of maybe making more of them and making them kind of like maybe mainstream or getting the word out about that. I love that idea. I think that's great. I love
the idea, and I would think about investing in a boat if that is the future.
I'll throw down in a pontoon.
Yeah. You know how there's like VIP like companies out there that you know ramp up fan ticket packages with like hotels and tickets and blah blah blah.
Sure.
I could just see one of those kind of companies like having a, you know, VIP section in the water with like fancy yachts that you could rent out, or you could just like have your own little canoe kind of on the side.
In regards to waterside events or events near water, you go down to Holidays, which you said was in the Caribbean and Mexico?
Yep, it's been in Mexico, it's been in Jamaica, and then it's been in the Dominican Republic. But obviously, well, they didn't even cancel it this year because they never even announced it. This will now be the second year where it has not happened. But yes, I've been, I think, 11 times. I don't know, pretty crazy. Too many.
I'm surprised you haven't been to the fish one.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's really fucking expensive, way more than I've ever paid for Holidays. And although Fish is for sure my favorite band, it's just one band. And so, I don't know. It's like more bang for your buck at Holidays.
That's the issue I've had with, so I've never attended a Fish festival. They look incredible. The production looks great. The crowds look amazing, but I've never done a Fish festival because I've always put my time and energy into festivals with a bunch of bands.
Yep.
I really dig that variety, and I think it's really important in my experience. That said, the Fish events look like peak experiences, those festivals. Have you attended any of those festivals?
Not since Coventry. I've done nothing in like the, what is this? I don't know, 3.0 Fish era. But I've been to Coventry, Big Cypress. It was my first Fish festival, which is like setting the bar extremely high right off the bat. And then I went to 2 others after that.
Do you dig those events? And what do you like? I meant to ask, what do you like about holidays and that experience?
Oh, man. I don't think I would ever go to like a Fish festival again if it wasn't on the beach with the ocean. I love holidays because I'm just like love the ocean and sun, and that's my idea of a vacation. Like, I'm not one who would go to Europe and like sightsee. Like, get me to a beach with some, whatever joint and like cocktails and umbrella drinks, and I'm super happy. So holidays is just, there's a ton of music for sure. Some of my other favorite bands there, and it's just like so chill, and so much of your time is just in the ocean or on the beach. And when you're not doing that, you're watching your favorite band on stage, and sometimes you could do them at the same time. So to me, yeah, holidays, just that one specifically because favorite bands are there, but that's like the perfect kind of vacation for me musically.
What makes one person deep dive into traveling to see music and another person not?
Probably finances, because I don't know why you wouldn't. Are you saying specifically about a beach concert versus, or just like
anything?
Going on tour?
Touring with a band, following a band. So it doesn't have to be financial, because we see the Wooks out there obviously struggling show to show,
Yeah.
and making it to the next destination.
Though
But
the-
what makes somebody do that? What makes somebody follow a band and go to long distances, to travel long distances to see music, and other people are comfortable seeing just their 1 or 2 shows a year? What is that?
I think it's the community that we all start to form around the bands that we see. And like my community of friends that I see shows with, very few of them live in Denver, Colorado. So when we want to all get together and hang out together, that's typically around a concert. And then, depending on which city you show up in, you're going to run into this people in the group of friends, and depending on this city, this group of friends. So perhaps that's the main difference. Like, I just take my brother, for example. He does not understand why I like the music I do. He's super into Van Halen and like fucking Metallica, which I actually like, but like Megadeth and Iron Maiden. My point is, he hasn't created like a community of fans that like that music that he, would travel around to see. So I wouldn't necessarily say it has anything to do with like the music in like a how it sounds sense, but mostly just due to the community and like what the music has created around it sense. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense to me, and I can relate to that in that when you go to the Grateful Dead shows, there's a massive community around it. Fish shows, same thing. And you see smaller versions of that around a lot of the bands on our scene. And I think in speaking to, you said your brother that likes some of that, other sort of, those other genres, those do not necessarily lend themselves to a traveling circus community, if you will. But
Yeah.
they do still have their communities among those groups. And
For sure, but
just a different dynamic.
and this probably goes without saying, but those bands typically play the same show every night. And so what would really be the joy of, going from city to city to see the same exact thing? Although, part of the experience is traveling and this and that, but it's the same show every night. So
what makes a good set list? What makes a good show?
Oh, great question. Well, the band's got to be kind of like in a good place and firing and playing good music. I mean, that's that doesn't necessarily make the show for me, but it makes the show for a lot of my people around me. And then that affects my show, how they're, digging or not digging the actual notes that are coming off of the stage. Does that make, you know what I mean? But for me, what makes a good set list? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not picky, I guess, really.
I think that's good. I have a lot of friends who are very picky, and it'll affect the experience totally.
Yeah. I'm not one of those people at all. And I totally know that type, and a lot of my bestest friends are like that, but that doesn't describe me at all.
I met you through live music, and instantly you became a part of my community, and I yours, I hope, in some capacity. And
100%.
You've done incredible things for me as a friend, and you've provided me with some really wonderful contacts and opportunities, and I'm super grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the events that we've worked on together, like Lo-Hi was one of them, Lo-Hi Music Festival in Denver, which was beautiful, beautiful event. You worked on Umphreys Monday, which was a cool reoccurring event that you did at several of the venues that I worked with, including the Highland Tap, the Armory, and the One Up.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking to what we talked about in how people travel for music and what makes somebody feel that passion and that community, what makes somebody start an evening celebrating a band, and why choose Monday?
There's so many answers to that question. Why choose Monday? Well, first of all, Mondays are a very light night at any bar or for sure music venue. So Mondays were a good option to hold an event at a bar where a bunch of us just took the whole thing over because it wasn't going to be that crowded in the first place. So that's half of the answer to why Mondays. The other half is because for Umphreys specifically, obviously the initials of the band are Umphreys McGee UM, and so it sort of like naturally lent itself to Umphreys Mondays, which also is UM. So that's the other half of the answer of why Mondays.
So the format of those events where you would have a bunch of people out, and I remember, there were times where there were hundreds of people there. It was packed crowds coming out on a Monday to watch a previously, so like a DVD, or I want to be careful of how I say it, where you weren't necessarily streaming a live show. You were showing old DVDs and whatnot, and people would come out and they would dance and they would scream and get down and buy drinks and participate in raffles, and you guys involved the band, which I thought was really cool.
I have to say something. I'm like never, ever, 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 ever someone to like boast about myself or say like bragging about anything. Not my jam. But there's one thing I would love to take credit for, seriously, is throwing the first ever stream party in a bar ever. And I did this in 2007, way before anything that like it has been happening in the past few years. I did it at the Forest Room 5 in Denver, Colorado. And this was like so much involved with setup and getting the audio dialed in and making sure it was cool at the venue or the bar. But anyway, I just had to throw that out there because now that has become our lives, especially now, is like streaming live shows with groups of people. And I just want to take a teeny bit of credit for it. I have no idea if that's true, but I kind of think it is.
I think that there would be a way to find out. I think we can look back and do a little bit of Googling. So at that time, nobody was streaming shows in bars that you were aware of. And how did you come up with this idea to do that?
I think I came up with the idea by when like it's announced that these shows are available for viewing to the public. My thought is, what if we could all watch this in a bar while we're drinking and hanging out with our favorite people? Like it just seemed like a great idea to do. And so
did the technology in 2007 lend itself to do that sort of a thing, or was it challenging?
It was challenging, but it worked for sure. There's one photo that I have that proves that it actually was working. But yeah, it was like, that was a really difficult setup, which now is like piece of cake to do, and I'll even put on a projector in my backyard and have friends over. Like now it's just become kind of common nature to have streaming parties with friends.
That's the way we view shows for a lot of us. Not only, I mean, before the pandemic, as a lot of us are getting older and our knees are a little bit achier from jumping around on concrete. Not yours, well, mine, definitely. The couch becomes way more appealing, and it lends itself to very limited lines at the bathrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Very cheap concessions in my kitchen.
There's never a line to get a drink.
Security super chill. And when I'm scared, I can pet my cat.
Yeah, no one's going to kick you out for doing something you shouldn't. Yeah, and your cat's there.
So now it's become a thing where this is the only way we can really view music. I would be curious. I think I hope that people listen to this, and I hope if you're right, and it sounds like you are, I hope that you get the credit you deserve, because that's a very you're a pioneer of concert streaming. So
Thank you.
The reason I talk about community, the reason I talk about traveling to see music and the passion behind it, is because when I think of people who are responsible for some of the largest and most dedicated communities of music fans that I know, I think of you. And you're at the center of a lot of that stuff, introducing people, turning people on to good music, and your passion far exceeds that of the normal person, not only the person who wears socks and sandals to a Jimmy Buffett concert once a year, but the people who go and follow Fish on the road. There's you can go see music, you can go enjoy music, but it's something else to really take that next step and drive a community. And I think you do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important to me to, it's weird, I've been writing this fine line lately, but it's important to me to make people feel good. I like want every day everyone to be in the best mood. It's like kind of, sometimes I feel like my purpose, and although that's not possible all the time, if I can like create a situation where that's what's happening to people, like, yes, please sign me up. So just having, that very first stream party where I couldn't believe how many people showed up. First of all, I thought it was going to be like me and my buddy, and then all these people showed up, and that has just like grown because that's the thing to do. Anyway, my point is like just to know that that's something people dig so much, to help like facilitate it is fantastic.
How do you promote something like that in 2007, and how has it changed current day as far as promoting events like that?
I can't remember. I don't know how long Facebook's been a thing. I have no idea. But if it was around then, maybe that. But my bigger answer is like just via email. It's like, I think I probably could even dig up that email, just like, hey guys, this crazy idea. I'm going to take over Forest Room 5. We're going to watch this Humphrey show from whatever. And like, see you there.
What was the venue that you had this at? You said, I don't, Forest Room 5, I don't know what that is. Is that still a place, or was that torn down, or?
I think it's still a place. It's kind of over by REI, and it's really cool inside. I haven't been there in a long time. Maybe we went like once actually last summer, but I don't think they've ever used that place for streaming concerts except for that one time ever. But you were asking like what's the difference in promoting things then to now? Then it was just like word of mouth and emailing. I mean, it wasn't something I was personally putting up flyers or anything like that for, but man, now social media, Facebook in particular, is sort of the main way to promote. But I'm like really personally over social media, so to promote events would probably be difficult to do right now. I'd have to go back on there and promote, put up the event on there. I'd have to do it.
Yeah, you would. I like that you're a marketer and you're like, screw social media. It's like one of the best resources out there, obviously, but it's pretty funny.
It is a good resource. It's just, and I thought about this, that perhaps the people who are my friends on Facebook, control what I see in my news feed and things. So perhaps I should eliminate some or most of those people and just keep it to my people that I really actually care about.
The way that I've been able to sustain on social media, and because I promote music and events, is I've had to really cater the content to what I would want to see, with a lot of unfollowing or over liking specific things so that it'll continue to return in the algorithm, whatever it may be, because that's a huge problem. Like, why did you rely on others to curate your content that you're...
But here's the thing too. So, I mean, probably same with you. I have like, I don't know, 2,000 something friends. Like, clearly I'm not friends with all of those people. But if I were to be promoting an event, I might want those people to know about it. So I've never thought of this before until right now. But I wonder if there's a way on Facebook, maybe you know this, where you can not see everyone else's shit, but they still see yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just individually unfollowing people. They'll still see your stuff, I think, but you won't see theirs.
Oh, man. Yeah. I got my Friday afternoon calendar just filled up.
But I think the other side of that that's dangerous is if you start unfollowing everybody and you start only seeing content that you want to see, then I think you're missing the other side of the coin, which happened to me in the previous election. I thought I'm not seeing anybody in my feed who are going to vote for Trump and, Hillary Clinton's obviously going to win. But I realized I unfollowed or didn't subscribe to a lot of these, channels that gave opposing viewpoints. And I think it's important to see that other side of it. So it's a fine line between over unfollowing and curating your content to look like a fucking leftist, party in the woods.
I do agree with you, but I would rather not know that my friend loves Donald Trump and the Republican Party by seeing it on Facebook. Like, let me get to that point with that friend via a real conversation. You know what I mean?
Do people still have those?
I love them. I've been on the phone and on Zooms so much lately, and I would just rather hear from you than see what you're doing on Facebook. It's just like, I would much rather have the conversation personally.
I can appreciate that. I think you get a lot more out of it when you actually hear the person and where they're coming from. I think a lot of information in general can obviously be misconstrued on social media outlets, and the tone is really important too. And I have to say, some of the best conversations I've had recently on the phone were with you. I value that very highly. Whereas other people, I don't really want to fucking talk to them on the phone, and I don't mind just seeing their shit on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, in order for us to converse, it must be on the phone, because I'm not on the Facebooks. Like, I really don't go on anymore. But then I would ask you, like, don't you find this so much more valuable than if you just saw me, like, make a comment on Facebook and then we never talked otherwise?
This is why I'm doing this, actually, is because I can have more in-depth conversations with people that I care about and respect. And not only that, this is me sharing your perspective. Instead of hitting the share button, people can now listen to the things you have to say because I value what you say.
I love that whole thing you just said. And I love that you started a podcast. I've been thinking about it too, just like, let's have real conversations. So thanks for like doing this.
You can come on anytime and you can contribute in any way you'd like to this podcast. And that's pretty much, I'm very altruistic in how I do my projects, and that, like, anybody who wants to get involved, let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's share great music. I did want to circle back to one thing I wanted to point out, is that when people output good things, when people positively affect a community, things come back to them. And sometimes those things are not measurable. But when I watch the things that come back to you, it's very cool to see, like, for example, your favorite band, or one of your favorite bands, Umphreys McGee, appears to now be using Umphreys Monday, or was for some of their branding for their now streaming deal that to me resembles very, pat yourself in the back there. That's to be able to affect a band, or to even be able to rub shoulders with some of the people that you idolize, is really the reward for years of hard work and passion. I know that you have had a chance to interact with Trey Anastasio, and I know how important that is to you because of how much you value Fish. And I did just want to point that out.
First of all, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. When I see your favorite bands and musicians, those people are your friends, and those people interact with you because you take it a step further and you go out of your way to really bring everything together. And it's cool to watch, and it gives me joy to watch you do really cool things with a lot of great creative people.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. It just means a lot to me to be able to thank the people that make such a difference in my life. Like, that's why I became friends with Jen Hartswick. I'm just literally watching her on stage and would say to myself, I need to be friends with her. Like, I wanted to. She made such an not impact, but like really just was a bright light in my life that it was like, I need to thank this person.
She's lucky you're such a good person and super chill, because if you weren't, you were like, I have to meet her and thank her, and you were some crazy person, which I've seen happen.
Yeah.
It could probably be a lot, but I love that you come from such a great place, and your whole thing was like, I'm just going to tell her how grateful I am for her. Next thing you know, you guys are great friends, and you were the person that introduced me to Jen, and I have such a high regard for her and what she does, and it's a full circle thing too. I think she has a lot of respect for what you do and the person you are. It was really great for me personally to have you, her, Natalie, and some really other wonderful friends and musicians share a weekend with me up at Snug Lake in British Columbia, Canada. That's an experience that I will hold with me for the rest of my life, and having you there was really a special thing for me.
Same times a bazillion. That was such a special weekend to me, and just such a little core group of us having like such an amazing time. It was so cool.
One of my favorite stories about that weekend was I went up to the box office, and
Wait, this is at Element, right?
this is at Element Music Festival 2018, where I had hired you and Rob had paid you to run our box office, which, full disclosure, you did an incredible job. Not that there was a ton of people that came out, and it required a lot of you, but you were on everything you needed to take care of, and you called for Irish whenever the Wi-Fi went out, and he handled it. I mean, you were all over it. It took a lot of pressure off me. So I rode my ATV up the long, winding dirt road from the lake and the houses and the lodge, and I rode my ATV up to the top. And when I got to the top, I noticed that you were smiling particularly big. You had a huge smile on your face. Bigger than normal. Yeah, you're a very happy person. This was different. And I remember you sauntering over with a weird pep in your step and saying to me, I have to tell you something. First, I want to tell you I'm having a great time and everything's fine. Second, I want to tell you I took some LSD.
And so you were my boss.
I don't like the term boss. We were working together.
We were working together.
Co-workers. We were responsible for different things, you know. So I had to, in that moment, process the information I was given and think to myself, do I have to bring somebody else up to the box office? Does Abby have this? Is everything going to be okay? And I kind of observed, and you crushed it. And the people who were coming in and you were interacting with, you were so great with them, and it was so wonderful. Later that evening, as Lotus was about to take the stage, Rob, the property owner, said to me, you want to go get Abby and bring her down? And I remember saying, well, you know, we should have a box office at our festival. And I remember him saying, I think she should come on down and just hang out and just tell the security guards if somebody comes in to radio for us, and we'll go up and take care of it. And I remember then you came down. I think I came and got you on the ATV. And then we rode back down, and we ended up watching Lotus from the deck of Rob's house while continuing to consume different substances, I believe. And then Natalie Cressman made us cookies.
Yep.
And none of us ate them because we were way too high.
That is all a true story.
I think that was one of my favorite nights hanging out with you. It was just so much fun, and we were in such a great place, and, you know, we all worked hard when we had to, and it, you know, just to be able to celebrate and have that great experience. Also, there was a friend of the property owner who was there. Do you remember that guy's name? So I brought you to the middle of British Columbia, and in this property in the middle of these woods down a logging road, and you meet somebody that you know there. I just thought it was funny that you came all the way out there, and this dude, you're like, oh yeah, I know you. And he's like, hey, what's up? It's like, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. But that, again, speaks to the depths of our community.
Holy shit, dude, I forgot about that. He's like the best friend. I can't remember his name. He's the best friend of one of my closest friends here in Denver.
I very much enjoyed my time with that guy that weekend, and we had a fuck ton of laughs. You know, I would say it sounds irresponsible, some of the choices we've made, but I think when you get to a certain level of execution and doing these sort of things repeatedly, that you can kind of spice it up with a little bit of fun while on the job. I think that's acceptable.
That should be what happens all the time in every job. Not that, but like the having fun part.
Yeah, whatever that means. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the name of your podcast, Galaxy Tenants. Does this like officially make me a tenant or like a guest of the Galaxy, or like what is my title now?
So I have thought about how to pose that, and I don't want to be one of those cheesy people that's like, oh, like over theming the thing, like, oh, we got another tenant on the line, you know. There's a band that I enjoy that does that a lot, and I think it's a fine line between, you know, making somebody a mouseketeer or not, and I don't. I got to think of. We're still working on our branding. This whole thing just
want like Like I'm a tenant shirt or something like that.
Maybe like a coffee mug. We're looking at mugs.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Like we
Yeah,
should have those. Like any talk show has its branded coffee mugs.
thank you. Thank you. This is all still coming together. I mean, we're only this will be episode 14. It's been very loose and it's all just been like things that I enjoy or people's perspective that we like or things that we've done. Like, I had Garrett Sayers Trio music featured because that was one of the things I've done. I had Taylor on talking about the One Up, and this is just a hodgepodge of fun things and fun perspective and different music. We featured a lot of, like, I hate the term world music, but just some different music that we dig. And on this one, I think we're going to be featuring Circles Around the Sun, which is one of my current favorite bands. I think the way that those guys explore, the way they execute, and the psychedelic sound behind the band itself and the music is really something unique given the timing.
Yeah. I haven't. Well, first of all, I wanted to ask you about the podcast, but real quick on Circles Around the Sun. What can you please tell me? Because I don't know the answer to this and I always wonder it. What is their connection with Grateful Dead music?
I can only assume that Neil had a connection to some of the guys in the Dead. I don't know, but what I do know is that they made their whole first album, and I believe that the project came together, this is my understanding of it, to create the music for the Grateful Dead 50 set breaks. Are you familiar with that?
Yes. Okay. That's how it became a thing.
So the lights come up for set break, and Circles Around the Sun comes on, and people are like, obviously out of their fucking minds, and they're like, what is this beautiful noise that we're hearing?
Got it.
So this legendary, kind of mystique formed around them from that, and I think that's a really interesting way to introduce your music to the world at the set break of another band that's so coveted.
Yes. While people are super high.
Super fucking high. And
that's when I learned about the new music I'm into. Anyway.
Yeah. I usually auction off my items at set break, all my items. Who wants my keys, my wallet? Yeah.
I need to start dancing near you more often.
But the Circles now has a few albums, and with the passing of Neil Cassell, they've had some different members play with them live, but I believe all of their albums include Neil on the album, and I don't know, I just really they're really hit me the right way. That music, that style. I love the synthesizer, this kind of scape that paints, and
is it all instrumental? There's no lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is. I think one of the tracks has some maybe I don't know, hip hop or something on it, kind of, but I think it's all pretty much instrumental stuff.
Okay. Just curious because I've never gotten into it, but I hear a lot about it and it's come up on my Spotify shuffle sometimes. But I typically don't love all instrumental music, and that might be why I sort of dismissed it.
I think it all depends on how you approach it. I think if you have a gummy or two and you lay down on your couch or in your bed and throw it on as you're kind of passing out or reading a book or whatever, I think that you'll find a place for it in your life.
I can't say yes or no to that because I rarely just sit around and lay down on the couch and listen to music. I don't think I ever do that. I'm too much let's go, but I kind of like the thought of doing that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a good pair of headphones so that I can start having more of those kinds of experiences, because I'm with you. I'm bouncing all over the fucking place, and I think it would be pretty refreshing and healthy to lay on my couch with my headphones on and enjoy some music.
I love that idea.
Eliminate some. Yeah, of course. Eliminate some of that other stimuli that's floating around. What was your other question about the podcast?
How is it going launching a podcast during this time when this is not something you've ever done before? What's it been like? You've probably learned a lot. This is number 14. You've probably changed up some things, dialed in the audio video, but how's it going? I'm so intrigued, and can I come on all the time?
Sure.
Okay.
On as much as you want. So we had the Music Marauders podcast, which started, I believe, at the end of 2019. And that was a group effort where it was a team of like 5+ people contributing segments, talking about what could happen, what shouldn't happen, how we should say something, or, it was a lot of, and very amicable stuff, but very complex in how we approach outputting the content and everything. And the thing with Music Marauders podcast that was also stressful, but I like to challenge myself. I used to do a lot of interviews, and at the end of doing the interviews, or after doing a bunch of interviews, I started taking substances prior to the interviews to see how that would impact the interviews. And there's some interesting interviews where I have musicians respond with their instruments only, or where I take off my clothes during the middle of an interview. All up on Music Marauders YouTube. Help yourself. Fun stuff. But for the Music Marauders podcast, we did a live approach where we're broadcasting it live, and then we take all that and chop it down to a podcast. So that adds a lot of different pressures and whatnot. Whereas with this, it's one guy, and obviously Carly helps me with, she helps me produce the episode. So we'll listen back and she'll point out different things or help me pick music and things like that. It's simplified everything so that everything doesn't have to be a discussion. Whatever musical guest we want to put on, whoever we want to talk to, I can talk to my friends, I can talk to the mailman, whoever. Really, it's just open-ended. And we talked about doing this prior to the pandemic. This idea came up because I have so many people that I want to talk to. And, whereas a lot of my output is music-oriented, I wanted to get beyond that. And I didn't want to format, and here we are. Yeah. So I can read things that I like. I want to do something where I have people call in and leave me voicemails, whether it's funny shit or playing music or reading poetry, and then put in, incorporating some of that stuff. There's a lot of like Indian music and electronic stuff we've incorporated, and it's meant to be spacey. It's meant to provide perspective. It's meant to be entertaining and have stories. And I think that the pandemic provided just the perfect opportunity for me to clear my plate and do this, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yay, I love it.
Yeah.
You're just the guy to do it and get interesting content from interesting people. You're just the guy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I went from doing things that earned money and putting on events to doing this thing that is just an abstract thing. And I'm creating the graphics, I'm lining up the guests, I'm executing the interviews, I'm doing all the audio editing. It's a lot of work, but I think when you do something to package it just the way you like it and you put it out, it's really rewarding. Every episode kind of stands alone and has kind of a different vibe. And I
love it. It's so cool. Do you watch Ancient Aliens?
Yes.
I have just seen a few because my roommate is super into it, and I'm kind of blown away, and I'm a fan. I don't dig into it on my own, but I was just curious, if you watched it, because I didn't know there was this whole group of people that are into this show and the whole concept.
I like a lot of those trashy History Channel shows, like Oak Island, Ancient Aliens. There's a bunch of Civil War gold. It's all this just stupid shit with people who should not be on camera. And I like Ancient Aliens because it's way out there. The guys are, though educated, they're characters, and do I believe that mountains open up and UFOs come out of them, or people are being abducted rapidly? I don't know. Stranger things have happened, probably.
Well, I'm into it. I don't see why it couldn't happen. Honestly, this whole being in these pandemic times, and just going through the experience that I'm having right now, I'm feeling more and more like anything is possible, for better or for worse. Just truly anything is possible.
I feel that way, or have felt that way. I feel that this pandemic has made me feel differently than that. I feel that there's no more reality, that you can't verify any information. All sources are skewed, and I'm watching, extremely intelligent people and good friends post just some out there shit and random anonymous YouTube videos, and then arguing science, and people talking about how vaccines are terrible and
Mm-hmm.
5G. And it's just gotten to the point where the discussion has gotten to the lowest point in the barrel. And it's just so discouraging for me because what's truth? What's reality anymore?
Yeah. I don't know, and I struggle with this too, and which my really smart friends tell me to listen to scientists and people that have access to data and analyze the data. Like, that's our best bet to finding out exactly what's happening. But who's to say they're not skewing the story because they have some way to benefit from it? I'm skeptical of everyone.
We're finding out that and I'm with you. I've been listening to the data. I've been listening to the science because I don't know what else to listen to, and I don't see a better option than that. But we're seeing like the WHO and the CDC skew information, and I think that when you start seeing that, who can you trust?
Yeah.
What can you trust, and how do you act accordingly based on that?
It's kind of turning into everyone is spinning the story any way they want for their favor or not. Everyone is. I mean, sometimes I'm like, do I do this too? Probably. So knowing that everyone is doing that, you still just, you're basically relying on your gut feeling to decide. I mean, I guess that's like the concept in general, but like the fact that you can't believe what anyone else is telling you, you have to go on what you think.
Well, I know I can't believe others because I skew the things I say and maybe not intentionally, to try to communicate a certain message or a feeling about a certain thing. We use big words, we increase numbers, I think that's a human trait that people do that. And I think that's the smartest thing you can do, is listen to what someone says and then try to filter that and try to figure out what of that makes sense to you.
I never really thought about this before, but not only do you sort of have to take in the person behind the voice too. What is their characteristics? How do they act? Because I don't know, you could like want to believe in the message, but if you don't believe in the person and how they spend their time or whatever, treat other people, you could drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, I'm halfway there. I think I'm envious of you not being on social media, but I'm finding that when I'm not on social media, I kind of crave that. And I think obviously the dopamine hits that you get from social media are part of fueling that fire, but it's gotten to the point where Facebook is just a cesspool of misinformation and people you went to high school with who may not have even graduated, giving you their theories on the world and economics and science. And it's like,
I think I'm onto something, dude. I think something I said earlier that I'd never thought about before till it came out of my mouth might be the answer, at least for myself. But I'll in the concept of unfollowing the people that either you don't give a fuck what they say because it's not going to affect you either way, or you unfollow the people because like you don't know who they are and they're not really your friend and you don't find them very interesting. Unfollow all of those people and then just keep in your feed the people that you do care about and do find interesting and do want to see what they're up to. If everyone did that, it would be interesting. You would sort of only have interactions, digitally or not, with people you think are like worth your time and interesting.
And I've taken that approach for the last few years. And like I said, maybe to my detriment, because I'm not getting alternating or opposing viewpoints. And I think that if I'm going to put a lot of time into something and be somewhere for a long time, I can't just be with a bunch of people that are patting me on the back for saying a bunch of liberal shit that they agree with and they share it and their liberal friends see it. And
but why not?
I don't know. I think that I value the other side. I think I value solid debate and conversation. Mm-hmm. And I also see how it can go the wrong way where it is now. If you look at the comments on any news article or anything, it's just the bottom of the fucking barrel. It's the worst shit ever. Like, I can't debate with somebody who thinks that 5G is causing coronavirus. I can't debate with somebody who thinks that vaccines are the Antichrist coming from Bill Gates. And it's like trying to tell somebody that the sky is blue. And I only have so much time and energy, and what am I inclined to do with all of that? And I'm finding less and less that it's engaging people and trying to inject my narrative or perspective into their skewed worldview.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I guess too, you could think about it as, if you didn't have bad days, you wouldn't have good days. So like, you have to see the other side in order to. This is just deep thoughts right now by Abby.
I think everybody, with this whole thing and everybody sitting at home for 2 months straight, you start having these kind of thoughts and thinking like, what am I doing that is right? What am I doing that's wrong? Yeah. When this whole thing's over, how do I want to live my life differently? And it sounds like you've done some of those things, where I'm continuing to be on Facebook and social media and arguing with a bunch of people, hitting their heads against the wall.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest shit you've seen on tour, at a concert, or on the festival scene, or like the craziest shit you've ever seen?
Oh man, I'm such a bad person to ask that, because A, I have a really bad memory, and B, I don't remember things like that. I'd really have to think about it. Weirdest thing I saw at a show. Something that's coming to mind is not something I personally saw, so I hate to have like secondhand information, because
No, it's all good. We can skip this question. I was just curious if you had like a go-to.
Yeah, I don't, except I took my pants off at a show once because it was really hot, and that was the only way that I could deal with it, was taking off my pants.
And I guess by you pitching it this way, that may not have been on a beach.
It was not on a beach. It was in the dark, dungy, sweaty ass Ogden Theater.
You took your pants off at the Ogden.
I did. It was so hot. And I didn't think anyone noticed, because it's super dark. And someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Did you just take your pants off?" I was like, yes. I didn't think anyone would notice. I tried to do it real slick. And like, it was dark. There were leggings. Like, I had a very short, like super short, like kind of like mini skirt thing. But yes, I took my pants off, and someone saw me do it. Probably many people.
Many more than you knew. I've been in moments at the Ogden where I've wanted to take my pants off too. That room really fills in and gets fucking hot in there, man.
You should I secretly hope that the Ogden just like crumbles into a pile of rubble. Not because of I had some great times there, but there's just so many more modern, better suited, better styled, more accessible, good looking venues now. Why do we have to be put through that anymore? Like, I hope we don't have to.
I'm with you. I think that room is very archaic. There's very limited vantage points. It packs in like crazy. The bathroom has those.
I don't look at it as like the iconic Ogden Theater, and then maybe there's a reason to keep it, but like, I'm not into it.
What are some of your favorite venues?
The Fillmore in Denver, this isn't my absolute favorite, but like, they've kind of stepped things up, and I know it was a lot of people's not favorite, including mine, for a very long time. But right before we went on this quarantine situation, a buddy that I work with gave me like a inside behind the curtain tour of the Fillmore in Denver. And like, yes, I've been at the Fillmore a million times. I've been backstage. Like, yes, I've seen the whole thing, but he gave me a tour that was like really explaining all the recent upgrades that had been going on there. And it's things that like maybe the average fan wouldn't notice, but I was just like really impressed at some of the upgrades, and even like paint colors, and down to like what light is shining on this part of the VIP section and in what color and for what reason. Like, interesting stuff. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite venue, but I it's not bad anymore.
Yeah.
You know what's fucking awesome is the Greek Theater in Berkeley. I had never been there before. About a year ago, I saw Ghost of the Forest there. Have you ever been there?
No, I've seen pictures of it and it looks epic.
It's, speaking of like iconic venues, like complete opposite of a Ogden vibe for many reasons. It's outside, first of all, but just like even during a concert, you could look around at the structure of the venue and just think like ancient shit happened here, and like people were doing things that had nothing probably to do with, I don't know, that's where my mind went. At least it's just like this Greek looking cement, like cinder block looking stairs, and just on the campus of Berkeley University or whatever. Is that what it's called? Berkeley?
I think University of Berkeley or
Yeah.
Berkeley. Yeah, Berkeley.
Just like in the middle of a campus. So anyway, that was a super cool venue. I'm curious.
How was the show? How was Ghost of the Forest?
So special.
Really?
So good. And yes, I am a huge fan of Trey and really anything that he puts out there. But knowing what was going on when the music for that band was made, and then to see it come out on stage, I felt like I was at almost like a play where you're witnessing events happening and then the music goes along with it. I felt like I was inserted into what had been happening in Trey's life. And then my best friend is also on stage, like helping put this music out there. It was just really moving, like tears brought to the eye kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know. You probably didn't see him because it was such a short tour and very sporadic dates, but if you've listened to the music at all, hopefully you enjoy it.
I haven't really put much time into it. I will go back based on your recommendation and listen. Is that show specifically up?
I think that show is on Spotify, honestly.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that one.
Which is, yeah. And actually, I don't know if you remember this, but there's been so many streaming concerts happening during quarantine right now. But on 4/20, they showed, which was a Monday a couple weeks ago, they showed a Ghost of the Forest show from New York somewhere. And so it was like a stream of a past concert from last year. But I didn't understand why they wouldn't show the 4/20 show that happened at the Greek Theater in Berkeley on the same date a year prior.
Maybe they will down the road.
Jen thinks maybe there wasn't any video recording happening, which obviously makes all the sense in the world.
Kind of need that. Have you been watching Dinner and a Movie?
Yeah, I have.
What do you think of that?
I look forward to it every week. So far, I haven't been personally at any of those shows. So honestly, for that, I like it like a little less. I think it'd be cool to rewatch a show that I was at. But
yeah, to feel that attachment is nice. And for folks who aren't aware of what Dinner and a Movie is, it's Fish's weekly series where they show previous concerts.
Yeah.
And they do recipes too, right?
Yep. I think, on Saturday or Sunday before the next Dinner and a Movie Tuesday, Fish will put out what show they're going to be showing and a recipe from one of the band members. The only recipe I've made so far, and I think now they're going on week 5 or 6, so there's been several weeks of recipe. The only one I made was Paige's tuna fish sandwiches. I made Paige's tuna fish. This is really fucking good, but it's also very close to how I make my own tuna fish sandwiches, so I felt very comfortable with it. But anyway, Tuesday Dinner and a Movie, for me, it's become something I look forward to every week, not just because Fish is streaming live on TV while, thousands of people are also watching it at the same exact time. My friends and I will jump on a Zoom, and sometimes I'll be in my kitchen, like making dinner, and have my camera on me as I'm cooking. So we just kind of make jokes about like what we're doing pre-dinner in a movie. But I don't know if you know this. I think it was last week's dinner in a movie. I was very surprised to see this. On YouTube, which is where they show the shows, at one point it had said like there was 39,800 and something people watching. So almost 40,000 people watching that fish show at the same time online. It was just like a very cool feeling. Like, wow, 40,000 people are also watching this fish show right now. It's just such a small population of this like earth and country, but it's not 2 people. It's like 40,000. So I thought that was interesting.
People love to hate fish, but what fish does is masterful.
Yeah.
The way they communicate with their fans, the antics they do, the performances they output, it's stunning. And to think that people all over the world are coming together still in the middle of a pandemic to enjoy fish is a really special thing, and it's really good for the music we love.
Yes, it really is. Have you watched it at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've watched bits and pieces of them. I have a hard time sitting still these days.
Yeah, and I'm starting to experience what I'm calling screen fatigue, where I'm on a lot of Zooms, and trust me, I'm not minding what we're doing right now at all. But I have been spending a lot of time looking at my computer screen and at my phone, and like even when I was working a day job Monday through Friday, and I would spend a lot of time working and looking at my computer screen, I feel like it's happening almost just as a little bit close to just as much now, and I just sometimes don't want to do that if I don't,
Fuck it, go golf.
Oh man, I love golf. Do you play? Do you want to play?
No, you don't want to see that.
Well, I don't like. Are you really bad, or can you like hit the ball and hit it straight?
So I played hockey for a good portion of my life, so I've got a great drive. But other than that, I mean, I haven't played golf in a fucking decade or more.
Do you play like Happy Gilmore style?
I wouldn't say I have a style specifically. I would just say I struggle up and down the green.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler's character would hit the golf ball like a hockey puck. So maybe you should try that.
Like I said, I got a good drive, but any accuracy from there is going to be problematic. You don't want to see me out there. Let's just hang out and smoke some weed and listen to music or go to a concert when we can.
Do you want to? Okay, let's do that. You could come with me to play golf and just smoke the weed and hang out and make jokes while I struggle through.
I'd love that. I can bring my recorder and we can get some remote podcast stuff and you can tell us about your golf game.
Oh, I would love that so much.
Thank you for doing this with me.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I feel like I could talk to you all day.
This is the longest conversation I've had with anybody, and that's not a surprise to me.
Aw. Well, yeah. I hope to do it again soon. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you can come on anytime you want. If you have something you want to share, a recipe, anything. I'll do the voicemail thing. You can call in and leave me some good voicemails, maybe some DJ beats.
Oh, definitely. Next time I'll share my screen. You can watch me DJ.
I would really love if you would give me a breakdown of your style and approach to your free app DJing via Spotify.
You said something earlier about when you lay down on your couch and listen to music and you put on your headphones and you invested in a good pair. I don't have a good pair, and I think if I'm really going to pursue this DJ thing, to take it seriously, I might need some headphones. So anyway, if you have one you would recommend.
So I'm using these little tiny free earbud things or whatever, and they came with probably a cell phone or a microphone or something. But I am in the market for new headphones, and when I get a good pair after reading a bunch of reviews, I'll give you a couple recommendations. I
would love that. Sorry, I pictured you with the huge ones on when you lay on your couch listening.
That's what I want. That is what I want. Yeah, the sound canceling. Oh. Yeah, I need something that makes it look like I'm in the radio booth or something, or in a studio,
Well, the placement of your microphone is really good. Really is very official disc jockey looking?
This is a podcast microphone, basically. This is a Yeti. It's cool. It's got a couple different settings on it, and I use it for podcasting. I use it for recording any sort of audio I need. I can play my sitar and record stuff, which I just learned first tube on my sitar the other day. I'll send you some audio from that.
Is that something we could watch you play right now?
I could do that.
I would really like that. But real quick, Yeti, the microphone, like Yeti, the brand?
So it's called a Yeti, I believe, and I think the company name is Blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying Yeti, like the coolers and the...
I think that is what the style is. I believe it's called a Yeti. So yeah, like the coolers. So I just got a new sitar. Have you seen that? I'll show you the sitar, but I'll play it on the setar, which is the Persian instrument.
Oh, I didn't know you were saying two different things. Okay.
Difference of one letter. Give me a second. I'm going to take my headphones out, so I won't be able to hear you, but hold on one second.
I'm very excited. This is the sitar with an I?
This is the sitar, yeah. This is from India. It's from Mumbai.
Holy shit, it's huge.
Yeah, it's big, yeah. It's great, man. It's a lot of fun. I got a lot of cool tones and sounds out of it. Let me see if I can do this here.
What a gigantic instrument.
Yeah, and I'm terrible. Like, obviously I can't play it and don't know shit about it, but I'm learning.
Wow.
Can you hear it?
Yes. How's their music happening? Are there strings at the bottom?
So I'm strumming.
Yep.
And while I'm doing that, I am on the frets.
Wow.
Yeah, anyways, it's hard to play standing up like this, but... That's fun stuff. So here, let me grab my setar and I'll play first tube for you.
This is amazing, by the way.
Stand by. So this is the setar with an E.
Much smaller.
Much smaller, yeah. It's a Persian instrument.
That's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been playing that one for about a year. Anything that has strings on it, I can usually kind of sort it out, but I'll send you a recording once I actually put something together from that. But
is it at all similar to a guitar neck, like as far as notes? No. Wow.
No. I mean, I played guitar, sitar, setar, banjo, mandolin, slide guitar, bass, but anything with strings, I can kind of figure it out. I can get it down. But I've been spending a lot of time playing sitar, the Indian instrument, which I just got. But really, my passion recently has been in the setar, which is Iranian, Turkish, and it's a Persian instrument.
Like a genie will come out of a bottle?
That's my hope. That's why I got it. So far, nothing. But yeah, maybe I'm just not good enough yet.
This is so exciting. Thank you for playing and showing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't usually do that, but Carly's been asking me to play recently, and I'm trying to be better at obliging when people ask to hear something cool, especially a cool instrument like that.
Yes, well, thank you for obliging.
Of course. Thank you for taking the time to do this. I'm so grateful for you as a friend and as a human, and I think that my community that I love has been made better and is stronger because of the person you are and the contributions you've made. So thank you.
That's so nice of you to say. I wish I could put things so eloquently as you do, but I feel the same way, and I'm very grateful to have you as my friend and in my life.
The first track you heard on today's episode was Money Is No Option by Circles Around the Sun, and we leave you with another one of their songs titled Detroit Dose. Thank you for listening to Galaxy Tenants. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts.